So we said there are a few things that the members of our inner circle need to possess. But before we even go on to those, we said, but we don't want to be elitist and look down on other people who aren't in the inner circle. We want to love and support them and help them join the inner circle. But until they've reached a certain level, they can't really be in the inner circle, because we have to build this team of like-minded, motivated human beings. The first one, and we spoke about it last time, was that you have to feel your spiritual lacking at least as much as you feel your physical and material lacking. Beautiful. You got to be yearning for God just as much as you're yearning for your team to win, or for people to like you, or to have nice clothes, or have nice food. At least as much. And we're being nice here. We're being nice. Do you have, to the extent that you feel a little bit of pain? You know, when you really want something and you don't have it, you can't get it because you don't have enough money, or your friends are all going on a vacation, you can't join them, and you feel a bit of pain. So you should also feel a bit of pain at the fact that you're not walking around with complete God consciousness all the time. However, this pain isn't depression or down on myself. That's not the sort of pain. It's a useful pain. There's useless pain and there's useful pain. Useless pain is victim, why me, complaining, not fair, negative. That's useless pain. When I say useless, it's not helping you grow. It's not doing anything. Useful pain, what is the purpose of pain? The purpose of pain is growth. So youthful useful pain is pain that's pushing you to grow. So I feel a bit of pain, then I'm separate from God, and that's making me try harder. It's making me do what I need to do more. It's making me put in the effort, because we've said this a few times. Your number one motivating factor is called ratzon. How much do you want something? And according to how much you want something, that's how much effort you'll put in to get it. That's how much you'll sacrifice to get it. That's how much pain you're willing to put up with to get it. So you tap into the pain of separation, and that's what creates connection. In fact, Rabbi Nachman says, feeling far from Hashem and yearning for Hashem, in a way, is the closest you can be to Hashem. It's a beautiful idea. I'm yearning. If you're together with someone and you're not yearning for them, then it's not as close. I used to run trips to Thailand and Peru and Nicaragua and many places. And I used to be away from home sometimes on Shabbat. And every Friday night I sing a song to my wife, Aish Hatorah, a woman of worth. And when she's there, it's wonderful. And I sing it to her, it's beautiful. But sometimes I'm in Thailand and she's in Israel. And I'm yearning to be with her. And in a way, we're even closer emotionally then, and we're in the same room. When you're yearning for someone, it creates immense emotional closeness. Now, the real secret is to be able to be in the same room as someone and still yearning for them. That's the ultimate closeness. It was my anniversary yesterday. 15 years we've been married. And I said to my wife that I'm getting to know her. I've still got so much more to know, you know. Imagine you get to a point, I know everything about them. And now I'm focusing on the bad. No, I'm like, wow, I'm just seeing more and more of who my wife is. Responsibilities, more children, more things, how she deals with life in general. I love her more than I loved her when we were married. I'm more attracted to her than when we were married. I respect her more than when we were married. So in fact, your wedding day should be the lowest day of your marriage. That should be the lowest day of your marriage. From there, it should just keep going up and up and up. In fact, that's a great bracha. Go out to someone on their wedding and say, this should be the lowest day of your marriage. And they'll be a bit confused, and then they'll be like, amen, I get that. Because it's not all about the wedding, it's about the marriage. So who cares what color serviettes you have? Okay, number 2. If you want to be part of our inner circle, Shi'e ben Torah im me'at im harbe. You've got to be a ben Torah. What does it mean to be a ben Torah? A few different ideas of what it means to be a ben Torah. One of them is just to be a mensch. Just be a mensch. Be a nice, loving, healthy, honest, humble, sweet human being. That's it. The sages actually teach us, Derech Eretz Kadma LaTorah. Being a mensch comes before learning Torah. And it's a conundrum because it's hard to really be a true mensch without learning Torah. Torah is helping you to be a mensch. But what it means is, if you're doing all these Torah type things, but you're not a mensch, then you haven't even got the foundation. You got nothing. You could learn the whole Gemara and you could be putting on tefillin and you could be saying brachas, but if you're not being nice to other people, then all of your Torah stuff is useless. Not useless completely, but it's very sad. There are two things. There's something called Tov and something called Kadosh. Tov means good and Kadosh means holy. I gave a whole class the other day about what Kadosh really means, but yes, it means sanctified. It means on a higher spiritual level. You can be a good person without being holy. You can be a very, very good atheist. Kind, loving, run an orphanage, be nice to your wife and children. Good, but you can't be holy. However, you cannot be holy without being good. So if you see someone say, oh, he's very holy, and he's got a beard, and he's tzitzit, and he makes bracha, very holy, the truth is, if he doesn't have good character traits, then he's not even holy. You can't be holy without being good. You can be good without being holy. So that's the foundation. So one idea of Ben Torah is just be a mensch. But the other one is, are you in the game? Is Torah the structure of your worldview? Are you looking at the world through the eyes of the Torah? Do you see the world through that lens? That's what it means to be a Ben Torah. Or one level being always asking yourself, what would a mensch do in this situation? But my sister is a doctor, so she sees the world through medicine. We walk down the street, she diagnoses everything. You think you've got to hide from her sister. And my wife is an artist. She sees everything through colors and shading. You've got to be a Ben Torah means I see the world through Torah. You know? How is this going to take me closer to Hashem? What does the Torah say about this? What is Das Torah? A very important question for you to learn. What is Das Torah? Which means, what does Torah wisdom say about this? How do I look at the world through the eyes of Torah? Because that's the most healthy, holy, connected, godly way to look at the world. How do I deal with this situation? Through the eyes of the Torah. So the Torah isn't a book of Jewish history. The Torah is the structure of how you're meant to think and see the world. That's what it means to be a Ben Torah. Another aspect of that, and he says, im me'at im harbe, means to your level. To your level, you're striving to live according to this structure. So the next level would be halacha. Are you keeping halacha? There's a certain way we do things. We don't eat this and we do eat this. We don't say this and we do say that. There's a whole structure of how you're going to refine yourself. The whole purpose of the Torah is to refine yourself, to become the most conscious, joyful, loving, motivated, inspired, connected, holy person you can possibly become. But there are ways to do that. As we say many times, you put on your right shoe first. Who did put on the right shoe first this morning? Put on your right shoe first? How was that for you? It was an amazing feeling? You're like, you know why I'm putting my right shoe first? Because I want to live with loving kindness. That's why. You had attention and intention. That's what mindfulness is. Attention, putting on my right shoe first. Intention, why am I putting on my right shoe first? Because I want to live with loving kindness. And now, all through the day, everyone you speak to, you're going to interact with them through loving kindness. They'll put you down and you'll just be nice to them. It's going to be amazing. Isn't that going to be amazing? Everyone you see, it wouldn't even cross your mind to say something not nice to someone. You're just going to say nice things to people. And in a way, you're going to look forward to people not saying nice things to you, because that gives you a wonderful opportunity to be a mensch. You're like, oh, I'd like it. I'd like to be insulted now, just so I can practice being a mensch. And I hope that there's not schnitzel left at lunch today and someone took too much greedily, so that I can just be a mensch. You'll start looking forward to having these challenges. Isn't that amazing? Life, the Mesilas Yesharim says life is actually a test. Everything in life is a test. Being rich is a test, because when you're rich, you can forget about Hashem. Being poor is a test, because being poor is there's a big struggle. It even says having lots of worries and stress is a test. He always says having no worries is also a test. Being shalva, being peaceful, that's also a big test. Why is that a test, by the way? It's too comfortable, you're not growing. If you're comfortable, you're not growing. We said last time, if you're not struggling with something, then you're not really growing. So everything, how you get dressed, that's a test. Did you get dressed in a holy conscious way? How you speak, how you think, how you act, how you eat, what you eat, when you eat, why you eat, what you say, when you say it, why you say it, how you say it. Everything's amazing. But don't get all weird OCD, like over analyzing and thinking. But what you want to do is start getting into a flow. And that's what halacha is trying to give you. Halacha comes from the word halicha, which means to walk. How are you going to walk through the world with God conscious eyes? And then you have so much more energy. It's just nice. Amazing. You know what you have to do. I always say that Rabbi Albaz, the posek, he's the freest person in the world because he knows what he can do and what he can't do. Amazing. When you're first coming to keep Shabbat, it looks very difficult. There's so many rules and laws and can't tear toilet paper and you can't tear. So from the outside, it looks very difficult. But once you're actually keeping Shabbat, it's very easy. You just buy already torn paper. It's not that complicated. So with anything, when you're practicing tennis, at first you've got to practice that backhand. It doesn't feel normal, it doesn't feel natural, and you keep practicing until you're not even thinking about it. You just get in the flow. So what you want to be, what it means to be a Ben Torah is you're just living in the flow of Torah. You're now living through the lens and the guidebook of Torah, Ben Torah. This is why halacha is the number one foundational key. Some people are like, Rabbi, teach me Kabbalah. The Kabbalah school. My role model is Madonna. She learned Kabbalah. I like Kabbalah. It's like, well, are you keeping halacha? Are you doing what you're meant to do? Because if you don't have that foundation of the structure and your feet on the ground, then Kabbalah is just kind of, you're just self-serving, pseudo-spiritual, egotistical stuff. But it's no, like, this is what I need to do to become the greatest person. And once I'm refined myself through halacha, then I can start learning other ideas. Important. Ben Torah. Fine. Next. Number 3, this is. It doesn't matter what your job is. Some people seem to think that the highest level of spirituality are for people who sit in caves or the Beis Midrash. Someone who's sitting in the study hall learning Torah all day, they can reach the highest level of spirituality and other people can't. Or someone sitting in a cave in a temple, they can reach the highest level, but I have to work to support my family. I'm a real estate agent, I'm a doctor, whatever I'm doing, so I'll never be able to reach the highest level of spirituality. Judaism says wrong, not true. Everyone, wherever they are, whatever their position in the world, whatever your job is equally suited to reaching spirituality, high spirituality. Why? Because it's not so much about what you're doing, it's about who you are being. Who you are being is much more important than what you are doing. Now, obviously, sitting in the Beis Midrash all day is conducive to that. It does help a lot rather than being in Wall Street. So there are environments that definitely help, but the person who manages to be holy on Wall Street has reached a much higher level than the person who manages to be holy in the Beis Midrash. So you've got to weigh that up. You've got to weigh that. If you can do it, and you could be a huge Kiddush Hashem. Someone who's sitting in the Beis Midrash all day doesn't have an opportunity to really represent God. Does still, you have to be a mensch, but someone who's in the workplace looking like a religious Jew, then you represent God. So you treat people well, you're kind, you're honest, you'd never cheat in business. So your mincha could be better. So it's not about what you're doing, it's about who you're being. And you want to represent how you look. There was a video on, what was it called? Geschmack something? Anyway, some Instagram page, Geschmack Herring, that's it. And someone wrote a comment on it and someone sent it to me. This guy couldn't look more Jewish about me. And I was like, Baruch Hashem. That's the best compliment I've ever received. My wife said, yeah, you could have a strimer on. Okay, shut up. I'm like, Geschmack. That's the best thing any you can say to me. I'm gonna try even harder now, look even more Jewish. So if you're going to be out and about in the world looking Jewish, you better be a mensch. So who are you going to be? So it doesn't matter what you're doing. At least you've got to be checking in, he says, 3 times a week You've got to be checking in with your crew. Who's your crew? By the way, I think the highest level would be for some of you guys to get together in groups of 3 or 4 or 5 and meet to talk about what I taught you in the class. Good idea? Make a chevra. You get 3 or 4 or 5 guys, turn this into a reel, and you meet and say, right, this is what we learned in the class today. What are we doing? Support each other. Because if you're just listening to these classes and they're kind of inspirational and they're a good start to your day, and then you just go and live your life, that would be a shame. If you can, every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at lunch, have lunch together. Go and have lunch together and discuss what you're doing and encourage each other and support each other. I know these people, 50 years they've had a Cheburah together. Did anyone hear Rabbi Pomensky talking on the balcony on Thursday, 12 p.m.? So he's been in a Cheburah for 50 years with the same people. Me and Rav Moshe Chaim Eid, 17 years. We check in. We have a Chavruta, we learn a bit, but lots of our Chavruta is just life, friendship. You need a wife, Be'ezrat Hashem. But you need a Chavruta. It says in the Torah, Lo Tov Hayot Adam Levado. It's not good for a man to be alone. That means you've got to get married, find a wife that completes you. But it says in the Gemara, Oy Chavruta, Oy Mituta. If you don't have a Chavruta, that's like death. So it says, when it comes to your wife, it's not good to be alone. When it comes to a Chavruta, you die if you don't have a Chavruta. What does that mean? Someone who's pushing you. And so me and Rav Moshe Chaim Eid, a few times a week, we check in how you're doing, parenting, husband, Torah, avoda, meditation. So we're getting together. You need a crew. It's very important you have a crew. And we've all had a crew of not that healthy people, I believe. I had a crew of accomplices. You need to get a crew of positive peer pressure friends and support that you're checking in with over and over again. All my best friends now, today, are the people I was in yeshiva with 17 years ago. The people who I was sitting in this room in Aish with, they're my best friends. In fact, my wife's going away with my kids for 2 weeks, and 4 of us are going up to Sfat for 2 days, for Thursday, Friday, and Shabbos. From then, we're going and we connect. It's like your army unit. These are your people for the rest of your life. And we get together and we be together in our family. My best friend's daughter is my daughter's best friend. Amazing. My best friend from Aish. And I gave him a bracha when he got married. I said, I give you a bracha. Our children grow up playing together. Our children playing together. Same values. You want that. It's so good. You need support and love from like-minded people. And you've got to be very careful to live up to what we committed to. Once you're committed to something, and he's going to say this now, you've got to be someone who's committed. Im eino betiv'o, you've got to make sure, this is number 4, you've got to make sure that you aren't a person who's non-committal. Hifchuch means that you change your mind. I'm very committed, and then I'm not very committed. Yeah, I did it. I managed to do it 2 days in a row, and then I didn't do it. And then another one day, I didn't do it. It's not going to work. So many people say to me, I find it very hard to commit. I'm not consistent. Very, very, very difficult to become great in any area unless you're a person who's committed and consistent. You just got to show up every day. Just be there. Just turn up all the time. Turn up. Some people say to me sometimes, I'm struggling with mincha. I'm struggling with an area of my avoda, and I'm not feeling it so much. And I understand that, and I hear that. Usually I say to them, you need to be doing art or music or some creative self-expression, because that's going to help who you are. But I also say to them, as long as they're not going to go get resentful, just show up anyway. Just show up. Even if you don't feel like it, just be there. That in itself is something. When you get a job one day, you can't just choose to turn up some days and not turn up. I don't feel like going to work today. Your boss will be like, okay, well, don't feel like ever coming back to work. So you have a voda. Life is a voda. Life is spiritual work, and that takes commitment. So if you want to be in the upper echelons of super consciousness, you just got to day in, day out. I daven at a certain time. I think there's a special time you're meant to pray in the morning, and that's the time to pray. Doesn't matter what time I go to bed the night before, that's the time I'm going to pray. That's praying time. So some people say, yeah, but I got to bed late, so now I'm going to pray later. I'm not into that. I'm going to turn up, commit. commit. Just be day in and day out, wearing away. And you know you've done this in your life when you wanted something enough. You wanted to get into the tennis team, you got up. Who is it? Kobe Bryant. He was there on the court 10 hours before everyone else. Those top sports people, they're the ones who are turning up, doing extra. I actually was like this in my taekwondo. They just thought I was crazy. He thought I was an idiot, basically. But every time he says you got to do 5 push-ups, I do 10. Every time he did 2 kicks, I did 4 kicks. I was like, at one point, my taekwondo master said, "You know what? You don't have to make those stupid Bruce Lee noises." Because I was like, "What?" He was like, quite early on, he was like, "Hello, you should, Kia is okay, but you're not Bruce Lee." And I was like, "Okay." It was a humble moment for me. I would have beaten him up if I could, but he was a taekwondo master. I had to listen to him. I'm like, I'm showing up, I'm going to do double. So you can't choose one day I'm going to be there. Wow, I'm so inspired today. I'm going to turn up. I'm so inspired. I'm going to do everything. And then the next day, you're just like, oh, I can't be bothered today. And then, yes, I'm inspired. And then not the next day. It's probably the worst thing for your spiritual growth, or any growth really, is non-committal on and off. So let's say you can't do it for whatever reason. If it was important enough to do for you, how about getting up in the morning? If it was important enough for you, you'd set 5 alarms and you'd get your friend to wake you up and you'd get someone to pour water on your head. If you wanted enough, you'd do it. You get it done. So until you have self-regulation and self-control, you're going to need help from other people. So that's okay. You're allowed to get help from other people, but you want to be eventually that person who is day in, day out, going. 11:30 at night, we do have a law that if there's a minyan within 18 minutes of you, you have to daven in it. Amazing, no? So it's 11:30 at night, and you just suddenly realize that I missed Maghrib, and you're really tired, and you want to go to bed, and you're like, it's okay, Hashem won't mind. Do you know what the truth is? Hashem probably won't mind. But I'm 11:30 at night. I'm like, okay, let's go. I'm going to go that 18 minutes. I'm going to find a mina. It's going to be an amazing marriage. And sometimes, by the way, it's not. I'm so exhausted, and I made it, and I walk home, 12 o'clock at night, 12:15, exhausted, and terrible. I had no kavanah, but I was like, I did it though. There is a mila, there is an advantage. There is something special about just ticking the box. Ticking the box. Now, I don't like that in general. If you're doing it just to tick the box, I did it. That's not healthy because you're not having a relationship. But there is a mila advantage, a level. There is a level to just be able to turn up and tick the box. At least I turned up, and then you can feel proud of yourself for turning up. I feel good about myself that I turned up. Yeah.
18 minutes by walking, biking, or driving.
Whatever. If you have a car, then it's 18 minutes by car. If you don't have a car, it's electric bike. So in Jerusalem, you got an electric bike, you're always hitting on minions. Now, really, if we were on a very high level, of course you'd go and get a minyan. What's better than davening Mariv in a minyan? Can you imagine? Watching the Euro finals in a minyan. By the way, well, I'll talk about it. So fine. So so the idea is you've got to be a committed person. You're always going to show up. If you can't do that, what's going to make you do that, by the way? What's going to make sure you turn up all the time? That you want it. That's it. If you value it, then you'll do it. I value davening mincha and mariv and shachris in a minyan, so I'm going to do it. I'm going to put in the effort. It all goes back to how much do you value it. I value it enough, then I'm going to be committed to it. And you've done this in your life. I told you the example of the guy who he came to Aish for a few months and he just said to me, he was like, Rebbe, I don't have any discipline. I just can't learn Torah. I'm just not a disciplined person. Now this guy was the most ripped human being you've ever met. He had a 16-pack. I was like, oh, you seem to be very disciplined in your 4 hours in the gym every day. Perfect V squat, perfect but like the perfect, every millimeter of like, oh, but you've got to keep your back straight and your elbow, and look at that, ripped. The guy ripped. You don't have any discipline. That's not true. You have immense discipline when it comes to things that you value, and you value being ripped because you get your sense of self from being ripped. That's why you value being ripped. So if you valued Torah, you'd also be able to learn Torah even though it's hard. You'd sit there and you'd break your head over it and you'd try again and again and again and you just keep showing up until you got it. So you've got to choose what you value, and once you value it, then you're going to start committing to it and you're going to get up and do it and do it and do it. And if you say, I value something, but you keep not doing it, it means you don't really value it. And very quickly, you've got to know the answer to this. What makes you value things? Why do you value what you value?
Because you care.
Why do you care about it?
It's important.
Why is it important?
It has a purpose.
It impacts your life in a positive way.
Great. I'm going for that because you see that it's positive impact in my life. It's helping me reach my purpose. It's what life's all about. Some people might say pleasure, but the pleasure of growth. And so if it's going to give you pleasure of sense of self and growth, then you'll value it. So once you see that Torah is the ultimate way to reach your ultimate potential, then of course you'd value it. Shabbos.